How y'all doing? I hope everybody's having a great day. Excited to be beginning the second campaign of my tenure here at Mississippi State. As you can see, we've already made some great improvements, including the floor here. I love our new floor. I hope you've had a chance to take photos of that and really get out on it and walk around. It's so much better. Like I can actually move right now and feel the floor move because it's giving, which is much healthier for our student athletes. But excited about our team. We're unbelievably young. It's the youngest team I've ever coached. We have 7 freshmen that are on scholarship, another couple freshmen that are walk-ons, and we're unbelievably young. So we're going to make a lot of mistakes this year, but we're going to make them trying our hardest, doing our very best. I think these kids are practicing really hard. There's not enough hours in the day for us right now. It seems like in terms of all things, we've got to learn to become a competitive team by SEC play starting here January 3rd. I really like our young kids, though, and I think our veterans, which are just a few, starting with IJ, Q, and Eric, are doing a good job leading. They've done a good job with their leadership. I've been very pleased with them, and you can see all 3 of those kids are much improved from a year ago at this time, and that's what we're building here is having continuity, having stability, so that year after year a kid who's in this program gets better on a year in and year out basis. But this is definitely going to be an exciting year because we're so young. We're going to end up playing 6 freshmen every night. You'll see 6 freshmen out there playing. So there's going to be a lot of minutes. I think I saw somewhere where we were the 4th youngest team in the country going into the season based on someone's report. So that kind of says it all right there. And we're actually scrimmaging the youngest team in the country at Georgia Tech Saturday over in Birmingham. So those would be 2 very young teams going against each other to try to gauge where we kind of are right now. But at this time, I'll be happy to open up to any questions you have about this year's team and our program. Okay, it was great being here today, and good seeing you guys.
Coach, with these first couple of weeks of practice, what's been the biggest couple of things that have stood out to you regarding your team and their makeup?
Again, our depth is an issue in terms of how many guys we have out here in practice every day. For example, Abdul Adu, who was able to practice with us from the beginning of the school year until the end of September, we had the 2-hour-a-week rule where we can only be with him. But I'm really excited about him, and we're still waiting some kind of final word on whether or not he'll be deemed able to practice this year with the team, play this year, and be eligible. There's probably another, I would say, week to 10 days, probably right before we open up for our first game. And he can't practice right now, so it's been tough. He's able to get in the weight room and do some work with Coach Dietz, but outside of that, he's not allowed to do anything. IJ Reddy could not practice yesterday. He's had some continued issues with his stomach with some acid reflux. We're hoping it's not mono-related and don't think it is, but he's had this issue now here for about the last 4 or 5 days. And so for us, again, it comes down to have enough guys. Xavier Stapleton, we've talked about in the past. He's making great progress right now. We are not going to rush that. He is, 7.5 months post-surgery right now. I think right when we're talking about trying to bring him back, it'll be right at about 9 months. We're hoping that he'll be able to get back out into some game action by the end of December. And, so those 3 guys, especially the 2, Abdul and Zay, not being able to practice is tough because we're only left with 10 guys. Joe Struggs has done a good job bouncing back from his multiple surgeries a year ago, but it's still not truly 100%. He's gutting it out, practicing for us every day. So we really had 9 healthy bodies when you include IJ. Now, those kids have done a great job really bringing it every day. We've had longer than normal practices because we're so young. We're working on basic fundamentals. Defensively, jumping to the ball, seeing the ball in your man, blocking out and contesting shots, rotating over and taking, a path to the basket away from the offensive player. Just basic things that will hopefully eventually become second nature to our guys as we learn to play better defensively. Offensively, not a lot of sets in yet. More trying to, again, do a great job in transition, trying to get early, easy opportunities, run the floor, get in better condition. But we're working a lot. Like the last week, we've been in the mornings 3 times in the last 7 days for 40 minutes, just shooting in the morning as a team, getting extra shots up. Our practices are probably average 2.5 hours a day. So we're close to getting, 3.5 hours every day in, which is a lot that we're going to have to scale back as we get closer to our first game, which is obviously coming up here real soon, 2 weeks from Friday. So we're trying to get as much learning in, and will continue to be a learning process throughout the season with this team. Question, you can say it out loud unless you need the cameras to hear you. This is going to happen quick.
Yeah, you talked about getting shots up, and you talked about Tyson earlier, just really good shooter. What are some of the things he works on in practice to improve his shot, and what kind of impact do you think he'll have this year?
The best thing with Tyson is right now is he's a lot stronger, and he's getting stronger. He started this summer at 149, 150 pounds. It was one or the other. You can ask him. And he was up to 167 or 68, I believe, the other day. So he's put on 17 or 18 pounds since June 1st. And that's really helping him. And he's working really hard to force the food down and continue that food process throughout the day. He's lifting really hard. Tyson is already a good shooter, but his ability to really be a consistent shooter will come as he gets stronger. Now, he's being asked to do a lot more defensively than he's ever been asked. And it's harder. You're playing against better, stronger, bigger athletes at this level than you do at the high school level. And so it becomes a conditioning and strength factor for him. He's a very smart player. He is a very good passer and makes plays for others. His biggest need for us as moving forward into this season is his ability to defend his position, his ability to hold his own, blocking out on the glass. And that's a team thing, not just Tyson. That's our entire team. My biggest concern right now with our team is how we're going to rebound and how we're going to defend, how we're going to take care of the basketball. We've done a lot better in terms of our turnovers in the last week than we were the first 10 days. It was flying all over the place. If you were here at a practice here recently, you'd have to be ducking a lot. But we're trying to get better there by valuing each possession more.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned how young your team is. What are the advantages of having such a youthful group to coach?
The exuberance, the excitement they have. This is all new to them. It's all first time. I mean, they're going to be playing every one of their games on national television now. Everything's on television. Everything is being recorded. You're being watched at every step. This is all new. I mean, the amount of scrutiny that you get at this level of basketball is much different, and I think it's exciting for them. It's also a huge responsibility for them, both on and off the floor, that they're representing Mississippi State and they're Bulldogs. But I love the excitement, the exuberance. I think that our team chemistry is much further ahead than it was a year ago. I think these guys are all together on the same page. I think obviously the time we spent this summer together on the foreign tour helped that. But I think we have a really good team unity, and that's exciting because we're going to be in a foxhole together. There's going to be adversity, and how you deal with that adversity is the key to your success as a team and as an individual. I wish we had more depth there. It's really tough to not have Abdul out there, not only to be able to play in games, but just to practice every day. So really right now our front court consists of Eric Holman, Mario Kegler, who can also play minutes at the 3, and then the 2 freshman centers in Schneider Harrod and E.J. Datcher. So and then Joe Struggs, who is playing still probably at 75, 80% from where he would be if he was completely healthy. But he gives us minutes every day in there. But it's not the kind of depth you want. But I'm excited for these kids. They're going to get thrown into the fire. There's no way around it. We are playing 6 freshmen every night. They're all going to play. And so they're all going to get more experience. They're going to get that game time experience. They're going to be playing against really good players that are fifth-year seniors, fourth-year seniors, redshirt juniors, and they're playing against older guys, and it's going to be exciting for them because the level of play is going to be so much higher than what they've ever done before in their careers.
Up top, Coach. Just with how well Quinn Dorn played for you guys last year, how would you describe what his role is going to be this season and just what you expect to see from him?
Do everything, Q. Lead us in everything. Guard the other team's best player, be our leading rebounder, be our best offensive player in terms of making plays for others, shooting the ball, getting to the foul line. And he's been fighting a bad toe. When he comes out here, you guys can ask him. He has one of his toes, I believe it's his right foot, but he continues to bang it. We're trying to get a different shoe that will give him more room. He's playing through pain every day. He is a great competitor, extremely tough. He's been a good leader, especially by his example of how he goes about his business and carries himself. Really excited about Q and his sophomore campaign. I'm confident, he stays healthy. He'll be, one of the best players in our league as an all-around player.
Coach, back to the front court. What kind of differences have you seen in Schneider with his big weight loss? What do you see different from him on the court compared to how he played last year in high school?
Well, first of all, he can run so much better. I mean, and he's never been a track star to begin with. So his ability to run now has obviously impacted in a positive way by his not only losing weight but body fat. We did our body fat test. We had a body fat test here where they tested all the athletes on our campus, and it's the most precise body fat that you can get. It measures your fat throughout your entire body. So not only how they do the calipers back in the old day where they do the back of your arm and your shoulder, this does a complete scientific test, and his body fat is 10.8%, which if you're doing calipers is probably about 7% if you're doing it the old-fashioned way. I mean, he's really done a phenomenal job with his body. His whole thing is just learning how to be more physical, learning how to be, play low with your knees bent. He's got away with just having more size than his opponent in most cases. Now everybody's the same size. So now you got to learn how to, play low, play with your knees bent, learn the game, set better physical screens, how to block out more physicality, how to really compete on a daily basis at this level. And it's a big jump. It's a huge jump from going from, high school to major college. And that's what, these freshmen are all experiencing and all finding out. Not only in when they compete, but also how they're being coached, the attention to detail. We had a really great experience. I have a friend in coaching that I have the utmost respect for, in George Carl, who came and spent a couple of days with us and observed our practices and spoke to our team. And I'm telling you, it was so good for our kids to hear, the kind of things that he's talked about in terms of the attention to detail, possession by possession, defense is where it starts, how being unselfish and being a team, just all the things. I wish we would have recorded. He spoke to our team for an hour at a team dinner 2 weeks ago that was absolutely phenomenal. It was phenomenal for our team. You can ask them about it. But, hearing it as you get to this level, how everything, when you're playing in the summer in AAU, you have 3 games a day. You lose one game, on to the next game. That's not how it works. Every possession matters, and every game for us is like being in the playoffs.
Ben, when you aren't happy with the depth in the front court, how can you go about making up for that?
You can't unless we get the eligibility of Abdul Adu. We are where we are. We've got to stay healthy, and that's a huge factor. And it would be very odd of me I always obviously preface our season based on us staying healthy. There's certain things you can't control. We have a great medical community, phenomenal trainer in Ryan Dotson. And, you know, we need everybody's prayers out here watching this and reliving this press conference. Please pray for our team to have good health. I get a lot of beautiful emails and text messages from people that they do that. I know my friends in our church at Cross Point do that, and we really need that. Staying healthy is probably our biggest thing, Michael. If we can do that, yeah, we'll be able to compete. I would love to have Abdul eligible, and we're not going to know for another 2 weeks probably. He is going to be a good player. That I can tell you right now. I am really excited about him.
Sorry to interrupt. You mentioned Tyson being a smart player, obviously a coach's kid. IJ Reddy, I think, is a coach's son as well. You had a lot of guys who came in from strong programs. I know they're young, so there's certain expectations with that. But is there a particular maybe basketball IQ, natural intelligence to this team, while certainly still being young and learning and developing?
Yeah, and you have kids that have come from good programs, like you mentioned. You know, like, for example, Mario Kegler played at Oak Hill last year for Steve Smith, one of the best high school coaches in the history of high school basketball. And so he's further ahead in his understanding than a lot of kids because of who he played for and the program he was in most recently there at Oak Hill. I think that Lamar has really made huge progress, especially in this last week as a point guard. He's getting a better understanding of how important it is to value that possession of the ball, take care of the basketball, make plays for others, be a pass-first point guard, and yet he can still score, and he's going to be a guy that can really get hot at times. You know, I think that E.J. Datcher, we talk about, you know, Schneider's loss of weight. E.J. Datcher came in here at, I think, 268 pounds. He's also dropped about 30 pounds, changed his body. He's dropped real close to 30 pounds, I think 27 pounds, running way better. So, you know, the summertime, these guys have really already improved a lot in terms of their understanding and their physical makeup. A big part of that is our strength coach, David Dietz, who does a phenomenal job, not only with the lifting and the training, but also teaching these kids how important it is to eat. You know, I talked about George Carl earlier. He was up there giving a talk. George has had his own bouts with cancer personally. He started to talk about hydrating and eating well and how important that is for anybody, much less an athlete. And it was like, looked back at Coach Dietz, and he had like a big smile on his face, because none of this was planned. This was just off the cuff, George Carl talking. And I can tell you this, when an NBA coach talks, who's had you know, as many great players as he had, our kids were like, you know, they were very engaged. Every kid in our program has a goal of trying to play beyond the college level. So, you know, all those things go into it. But, you know, our freshman class, I'm excited about. I think that Eli Wright has had a tremendous work ethic, has really, really worked hard. He's probably the best conditioned athlete maybe in our program. We ran the mile run. I think he ran a 5:02 or a 5:03 out there in the mile. That's hard to do when you're not even training for it. If he was training for the mile run, he could probably run, you know, 4:30 or below. He's that kind of athlete. So I'm excited about our entire freshman class, but they are freshmen. What's the best thing about freshmen? They become sophomores.
Last question right here.
Coach, good afternoon. Thank you for the segue there. I wanted to ask you about the NBA and
There you are.
how the NBA sets the offenses, how you see that impacting the college game. And then the second part of the question is defensively, how do you defend drag screens or step-up screens?
Well, those are great questions. We got to talk after this so I can really break it down for you. But for us right now with our drag screens and defending step-up screens, it depends on who the screener is. Sometimes, depending on personnel, we can switch 1 through 4. With a 5-man, we would never switch that. We're usually going to plug it, not hard hedge it. I think when you look at the officiating this year going into the season, they have certain things they're always looking at, and I'm worried about foul trouble for our team. We've got to stay out of foul trouble. One of the rules they changed this year is that now within the restricted area, when a player is attacking the basket on offense, I'm allowed to leave my feet and go straight up and down, and if he runs into me, it's not a foul on me. Last year, if I was a secondary defender, meaning I came over to help, and I ran into anybody inside the restricted area, it was immediately a foul on the defense. They've gone to the NBA rule, which a lot of our rules are changing to, because they want our game to be more like the NBA. High scoring, more possessions, the shot clock, everything is being geared towards that. But you talk about offenses, the difference is we don't have a defensive 3-second. So you see teams that are much more packed in. The players at our level don't shoot as well as the NBA. One of the things that's exciting, you see all the technology coming in. One of the things that we should have you do, if anybody's interested, I'll have one of my staff members take you upstairs in the Mize after. We just implemented Noah's Ark yesterday. Noah's Ark is a new technology that helps players shoot better by gauging how much arc they have on their shot. So now just about every NBA team has one. Only a handful of universities in the country do. They took the data from 3 million shots, 3 million up to date right now. And the technology is incredible, how it's helping players improve, both in our weight room and performance center, now in the Mize with this new tool where, 45%. They have, yesterday we had this is just really interesting to me. We had a presentation by John Carter, the president of this company, and they were able to chart every shot in the Golden State practice the day before. 3,600 shots. Every shot is marked down in a computer, where they're from, how many went in, when they missed, did they miss 1 inch long, 1 inch short, what was the degree of shot. I mean, you just can't get over it. And I think it's going to help some of our guys. Like Eli Wright, I've told him he has too much arc on his shot. I had a guy in my here yesterday in the film explaining why over 10,000 shots, why that's not going to work, and how, I mean, it's amazing the mathematics involved now in the analytics. And it's you would really be interested in this stuff, being a basketball person, that I can tell by your questions. But all this stuff is so fun to see how the game's evolving. We're all trying to evolve. 10 years ago, it was more motion. Now it's all ball screening. Everything becomes ball screen, ball screen, ball screen. And you'll see it go in terms of a curve where it will go, pendulum swinging back and forth. But, for me, the game is defend, rebound, take good shots, take care of the basketball, all right? Get your best players the most shots in terms of the best shooters. I shouldn't say best players. Some of my best players were great screeners. They got their teammates open. Play unselfishly, play together. I mean, I love the game. I love watching the game being played the right way. That's what we're trying to teach our kids. That's what it's all about. And it'll be fun to watch this group of freshmen improve year in and year out to where 2 years from now when they're juniors, that'll really be exciting for me, because you'll see, like IJ Reddy, he's way ahead of where he was a year ago at this time. His understanding, feel for the game, leadership, I'm so excited by IJ. I hope we get his physical part worked out, because he was practicing so well before coming down with this issue. Q is so much better as a player than he was a year ago at this time. Eric Holman is way better and has really been tremendous here the last 10 days. So I'm really excited about the guys that are growing as players. I've already seen a lot of growth in our freshmen. We need a lot more growth, and we're getting thrown into the fire right away here. It's coming in a hurry, and that'll be really fun for them, and really exciting for all of our fans and for our team and our program. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.